What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So hopefully you guys have had an incredible day so far, but let's get into the update because there's a lot of stuff that we need to get to. And the first thing I just want you to understand is that as of right now, as of shooting this video, there are reports that President Biden will be banning Russian oil imports. Okay, so I'm going to go with the assumption that President Biden will be banning this, but again, the news is supposed to come out in just a few minutes. Now, right now, what we know is lawmakers, right now, what they're planning to do is they're trying to pretty much pass the government funding bill. Now, I bring this up in conjunction with the ban on Russian oil imports because they are both extremely important. Right now, just the government funding bill alone, it's going to include $12 billion that goes to Ukraine. It was supposed to include $22.5 billion that would go towards COVID relief. But that is one thing that likely will not be in this bill. But there's something else that won't be in this bill either. According to all reports, right now, something that won't be in this bill is the extension of the waivers to allow schools to serve universal free meals. Since the beginning of this pandemic, this has been included. Children are getting free meals. But one Senate aide said this morning that this pandemic aid was supposed to be a temporary form of assistance and relief, and in order to get schools back to normal, some of this assistance has to be taken away. Now, one thing I can tell you is that this has been seen as something that was going to happen. However, it is taking a lot of people by surprise because most people expected it would be at least to the end of the year, not now. Also, lawmakers are saying that this provision alone costs $11 billion. So in order to satisfy Senator Joe Manchin and other moderates' desire to lower our national deficit, these steps had to be taken. Now, today, lawmakers want to release the text of this bill. But here's the issue. And again, let me know your thoughts on this because this is something that I have been, I have a tough time with this. But some are saying that releasing the text of the bill too early could cause some to vote against the bill. And I think this is very interesting. And I think this is interesting that it was brought up because for years, I've always had an issue with this, where lawmakers hate the fact that a bill is released and then almost immediately after the bill is released, the House or the Senate votes on the bill to pass the entire bill without even being able to read the entire bill. And every time a bill is passed, lawmakers find out days, weeks, even months later that there were provisions hidden within the bill that they would have completely opposed. And once they finally do read the bill, they're so frustrated that other lawmakers in the other party just stuff something in there. It's all because nobody could read it. But let me know your thoughts. Do you think that somebody should be allowed to read the bill before they have to vote on it? Or do you think this is just politics? Let me know your answer down in the comment section below. Now, at this time, lawmakers are actually working to reconfigure the Build Back Better Act as well. They're trying to make it suitable for Senator Joe Manchin and his new demands. Now, even though Senator Manchin stated that he isn't part of the negotiation process and there's nothing really going on at this time, many House Democrats are actually putting something together, putting together different options for Senator Joe Manchin to ultimately approve of. And they say once they have something that they feel is worth presenting to Senator Joe Manchin, they will show it to him. But here's what you need to keep in mind, is that this new Build Back Better Act has a different goal in mind, different angle. The goal is to help families that are struggling with rising inflation, but this bill would also satisfy Senator Joe Manchin's desire of lowering the national deficit. So two things: help with inflation, lower the national deficit. Those are the two things that this bill, whatever they're going to call it, right? Build Back Better Act, Building a Better America, stimulus package, infrastructure bill, American Families Plan, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter. Those are the two goals that lawmakers say they're trying to accomplish. So we'll see. Now, while all of these discussions are happening in Congress, congressional leaders on both sides have agreed we must refrain from buying Russian oil. Cannot import it. They have been proposing a Russian oil ban for, about a week? I think this has been going on for about a week. But here's the issue. This has taken so long to develop that now Russia is warning that if the West bans energy imports, they will simply cut off European gas as well. They're also warning of $300 per barrel for oil, which is currently sitting at just $130. Okay? So almost double what it is now when we already see it run up. That's going to be a big difference. So right now, many lawmakers have said that the United States must take back our energy independence, and we are too reliant on other countries in order for us to thrive. So they say that we need to not only ban Russian oil imports for the near future, but we need to move away from it altogether. So I think this is interesting, because what's going to happen? Are we just going to stop importing Russian oil for a couple weeks, months, years? Are we going to eventually go right back to it? Is this just a temporary solution? But that's the key, is how will lawmakers react? What will we do in the future? Will we be better in the future? Or will we just see gas prices, instead of $2 to $3 per gallon, they jump up to $4 to $5 per gallon? We don't know, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens moving forward. But that is not the only shortage that we currently have. There's other shortages as well. Currently, between Russia and Ukraine, they have about 7% of the total global grains trade left of the season. Okay, this is like wheat. They had 18.5 million tons of corn left as well. And all of this is due to processing plants being closed down, the farming industry pretty much just coming to a halt. I remember in the early days of the invasion, you see just farmland just on fire, right? It was just blown through, right? We saw, tanks just driving over crops, right? That hurts. We've seen wheat. It has risen in price by 77% this year alone. And now the world is facing a huge supply shock as the world cuts off shipments from the region that accounts for about 25% of the global grains trade and the bulk of the sunflower oil trade as well. So it's going to be a major shock. And we don't know exactly how far and how hard we're going to be hit here in the US, but I predict we're going to see it. And it's probably going to come very soon. But let's get into the news from Russia and Ukraine today as well. Because currently there's been an estimated about 2 million refugees that have fled the country. We saw yesterday that people were being just killed, slaughtered pretty much right there on the street as they were trying to leave the country. And buses just today have been taking civilians out of Lviv as officials try and move people away from Russian troops. We also know that the UN office has stated that more than 400 civilians have died. Countless troops have died as well. But Ukraine is also warning that some refugees could be forced into Russia. But their hope is to find them a safer location. So, here's what I can tell you. As of right now, the question is, where do we move from here? Lawmakers are trying to do whatever they can. President Biden is trying to do whatever he can. But that's a big issue. And here's the reason why. We have this issue with COVID that we're still trying to fix, right? We're still trying to get out of this pandemic. That's the first issue. And then on top of that, then we have rising inflation. That's the second issue. We're currently at 7.5%. That's a huge issue. Because not only are we dealing with COVID and inflation, we are seeing wages go up, which is normally a good thing. But as wages go up, prices of products go up as well. So we're still seeing this minimal wage price spiral. But at the same time, we got COVID, we got inflation, we got a wage price spiral. Now we also have the issue of more supply chain issues. And the reason I say this is because, as we've already seen it, right? But with gas prices going up, means shipping is more expensive. As shipping is more expensive, the products that we receive, sometimes we don't get as much. And then on top of all of that, we got this war between Russia and Ukraine that the United States is obviously in the middle of. So right now, a lot of issues. We don't have many answers. The one thing that we've heard, and I haven't even talked much about COVID, vaccines, right? The efficacy rates, the vaccines for children, right? I haven't even discussed a lot of that stuff. Mask mandates. The reason I haven't discussed a lot of this is because right now the reports are that the states and the United States in general is so focused on Ukraine and what's happening over there that vaccine mandates, mask mandates, getting back to normal, that's almost being kicked to the back. That's being pushed onto the back burner. And again, that's a huge issue because this is pretty much what we've been living with for the past 2 years, and now people aren't even really discussing it. It's not about, did you hear that about COVID? No. It's, did you see that? What President Zelensky said? Did you see what President Putin did? Did you see what's going on in Russia and Ukraine? That's the issue, is we are now not even looking at COVID, looking at the pandemic, the supply chain issues, worker shortages that we still are going through. Now it's, look what's going on over there. So we're pretty much being blinded by one thing, the Russia-Ukraine news, and everything else is just, it's just an afterthought. But again, that's the worry right now, is there's still major issues here in the United States. So that's great. We're going to go fix what's going on in Ukraine. But what about right here at home? What about fixing this, right? What's going on here? Big issues. So we will see what happens moving forward. But as always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share all latest news and updates. Just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. If you enjoyed today's video, do me a favor. Go ahead, hit that like button. Also, consider subscribing so you never miss an update. And I'll see you guys on the next one.